A typical HVAC system comprises multiple active and passive devices and equipment interconnected with ducts and pipes to function as one. It's imperative to logically connect the devices and equipment before drawing the ducts and pipes. And you do this by creating ducts and pipe system out of the connectors within the component families. In this video, we will create our project's duct systems. So start by opening the file you used in the previous video or create duct systems in the chapter 3 exercise files folder. So at this point, launch Revit, navigate to the exercise files. From the chapter 3 folder, open this file, create duct systems, which I currently have open. Then open the ground floor HVAC plan. Next, select the 3 supply diffusers in the guest zone and click duct under create systems panel, which is under the modify ribbon. And this launches the create duct system dialog. Now the system type is set to supply air, and that's because there is only one connector in the selected components and the system classification is supply air. For clarity, we'll name the system 01-01 guest supply. Then we will check open in system editor and click OK. Next, we will assign the zone equipment. So click select equipment and pick the fan coil unit for the zone. Then click finish editing system. Now you notice the components in the systems have turned blue. And that's because blue is the graphic override color configured for the supply air system. So if you recall from the previous video, when we configured the duct and pipe system, if you check the supply air system and click graphic overrides, you see that the color is blue. The same applies to the material. So from 3D views, you also notice that the supply air components are blue in color. Next, we'll launch the system browser by right clicking on the drawing area and then checking system browser from here. So we already have that open. Then from this drop down menu, we'll select systems. You can also filter to mechanical discipline if you want, but we'll leave it all disciplines for now. So expand mechanical systems and you will see a breakdown of all the logical systems in the project with their system properties. So as you create small logical systems, they will automatically populate here. So if you want to see more information in these columns here, you can click the column settings dialog. You can launch the column settings dialog, and from here you can expand mechanical and general and select the properties that you wish to see as separate columns on the system browser. So now, without drawing any duct or pipe, Revit understands the logical relationship between the components. So you can see that the parent component here is the ceiling ducted for pipe fan coil unit, which is its own equipment, and then the child components are the supply diffusers. So next, we will create the return air system for the zone. So select the return diffuser for this guest zone. We have only one, and then click duct again under the create systems panel, and this also launches the create duct system dialog once again. So this time the system type is return air, and that's because the system classification of the only connector within this component is return air. So we'll name this 01-01 guest return. Then we'll close the dialog without open in system editor. So the second way to assign an equipment to a set of components for a zone is by clicking the select equipment. So click this and we'll select the same fan coil unit we use for the supply system for that zone. So now what you will notice is that the return diffuser turns pink due to the system override. So if you check return air system from the graphic overrides, you see that magenta or pink is the color. The same applies to the material for the 3D visualizations. However, the fan coil unit turned black, and that's because it now belongs to more than one system. So when you select this fan coil unit now, you see that it belongs to the supply air system. It also belongs to the return air system, and it even belongs to the unassigned system. And this is because we still have some connectors within this equipment that have not been used. Remember, we'll have 4 pipes for the chilled and hot water supply and returns. So that's why you still have it under unassigned. Now, the interesting thing is that although Revit understands this parent-child relationship between the equipment and the components, the airflow for this equipment still reads as 0 liter per second. And that's because we haven't physically connected the equipment and the terminal devices with ducts. So in other words, there is no air that is flowing between them just yet. So when you select this equipment also from the properties browser here, you see that the airflow is still 0. So when we begin to connect the air terminals with the system equipment, the mechanical equipment, the equipment will calculate that because the connector is set to calculate it. So that is how to create duct systems in Revit. You use what you have learned in this video to populate the supply and return air systems for the other 10 zones. And in the following video, we will physically connect the components.